The rain had just begun to fall when one simple mistake changed 2 lives forever. A woman carrying nothing but a worn-out handbag, a tired smile, and the weight of countless disappointments walked toward a gleaming luxury car parked outside one of the city's most exclusive hotels. Without hesitation, she smiled politely at the man standing beside the driver's door and kindly asked if he could help her with her luggage. She never imagined that the man she believed to be a driver was actually the billionaire owner of the very company hosting the grand event inside. Even more surprising, he chose not to correct her. Instead, he quietly took her bags, opened the car door, and decided to see where this unexpected misunderstanding would lead. Neither of them knew that this single moment of kindness would uncover painful secrets, restore broken dreams, and prove that true wealth has nothing to do with money. Emma had spent most of her life believing that hard work always paid off. She grew up in a small town where every family knew each other's struggles, where neighbors shared meals during difficult times, and where people measured success by honesty instead of expensive possessions. Her parents taught her that character was the greatest treasure a person could own. They never became wealthy, but they left their daughter with values that no amount of money could ever buy. Life, however, rarely follows the promises we make as children. After losing both parents within 3 years, Emma found herself raising her younger brother while working 2 jobs just to keep a small apartment over their heads. Every morning began before sunrise, and every night ended long after most people were asleep. She learned to survive on very little sleep and even less hope. Still, she never stopped believing that tomorrow could be better than yesterday. Months earlier, Emma had applied for an administrative position at one of the country's fastest-growing charitable foundations. It offered a salary that could finally allow her brother to attend college without sacrificing his dreams. After weeks of silence, she finally received an invitation to attend a networking event hosted at the luxurious Grand Imperial Hotel. She knew she couldn't afford a new dress, so she carefully repaired an old navy blue one that had belonged to her mother. Every stitch carried memories, and every wrinkle reminded her how much she missed the woman who had always believed in her. As she entered the hotel's grand entrance, sparkling chandeliers reflected against polished marble floors while elegantly dressed guests laughed beneath golden lights. Expensive perfumes filled the air, and luxury surrounded every corner. Emma immediately felt out of place. She wasn't embarrassed by her simple appearance, but she could clearly feel the invisible wall separating people with privilege from those who had spent their lives fighting for every opportunity. Outside, standing quietly beside a sleek black luxury sedan, was Daniel Harper. Daniel was one of the youngest self-made millionaires in the country. His technology company had transformed several industries, and newspapers constantly praised his remarkable business achievements. Yet behind magazine covers and financial headlines was a lonely man exhausted by people who admired his bank account more than his heart. Invitations flooded his calendar every day, but genuine friendships had almost disappeared. Even family gatherings had become uncomfortable because everyone seemed to want something from him. That evening, he had dismissed his actual driver early. Sometimes he preferred driving himself because it reminded him of the years before success complicated everything. Wearing a simple dark suit without expensive accessories, he looked surprisingly ordinary despite owning more wealth than most people could imagine. When Emma approached him with her suitcase and apologized for interrupting his evening, Daniel immediately understood the misunderstanding. He could have corrected her with a single sentence. Instead, he noticed something unusual in her eyes. She wasn't arrogant. She wasn't demanding. She wasn't looking down on someone she assumed worked as a driver. She simply treated him with the same quiet respect she offered everyone else. Without revealing who he was, Daniel lifted her small suitcase into the trunk and held the car door open. Emma thanked him warmly, even offering him part of the homemade cookies she carried in a small paper bag because she believed everyone working long hours deserved something sweet. Daniel almost laughed at the innocence of the gesture, but what truly surprised him was the sincerity behind it. No one had offered him something expecting absolutely nothing in return for a very long time. As they drove toward the hotel entrance, Emma casually spoke about the nervousness she felt before the event. She admitted she didn't own expensive clothes, worried she might not fit in, and confessed that sometimes people judged others before learning their stories. Daniel listened silently. He had attended hundreds of luxury gatherings, but somehow this short drive felt more meaningful than all of them combined. Inside the ballroom, everything changed. Several executives immediately recognized Daniel as he entered behind Emma. Their cheerful expressions turned into visible confusion. They greeted him respectfully while trying to understand why the company's founder had arrived carrying a guest's luggage himself. Emma noticed their surprised faces but assumed they were simply being polite to an employee who had worked there for years. Daniel quietly smiled and continued saying nothing. Throughout the evening, Emma struggled to find confidence among accomplished professionals discussing investments, luxury vacations, and exclusive memberships. She stood near the refreshment table, feeling invisible. Instead of approaching influential guests, she spent much of her time helping an elderly volunteer who accidentally dropped paperwork across the ballroom floor. While others hurried past pretending not to notice, Emma patiently gathered every page, reorganized the files, and stayed with the woman until she felt comfortable again. Daniel observed everything from across the room. For years he had hired people based on polished resumes, prestigious universities, and impressive recommendations. Yet none of those achievements revealed what truly mattered during ordinary moments when no one expected kindness. Emma believed no one important was watching, which made every compassionate action even more genuine. Later that evening, a waiter accidentally spilled juice onto Emma's repaired dress. Instead of becoming angry or demanding compensation, she smiled reassuringly at the embarrassed young man. She even apologized for standing in his way although the accident had not been her fault. The waiter looked close to tears because he feared losing his job. Emma simply helped clean the mess and reminded him that everyone makes mistakes. Daniel quietly turned away for a moment. The memory of his own mother suddenly returned with painful clarity. She had worked as a hotel housekeeper for nearly 20 years before passing away. She always said the true measure of a person's heart was revealed by how they treated people who could do nothing for them. Watching Emma comfort the frightened waiter felt like hearing his mother's voice again after many silent years. For the first time in a long time, Daniel wondered if destiny had arranged this strange misunderstanding for a reason. As the evening continued, Emma sat alone near one of the large windows overlooking the city lights. She wasn't discouraged by the glamorous crowd around her. She had simply accepted that some opportunities belonged to people born into different circumstances. Still, she whispered a quiet prayer that somehow life would give her brother the future she had never been able to build for herself. Daniel stood only a few steps away, hidden by the shadows, hearing every heartfelt word. He realized that while countless people had approached him asking for investments, luxury gifts, or business favors, this woman wished only for her younger brother to have a chance at education. She never mentioned herself. She never complained about unfairness. She carried her burdens with remarkable grace. That night, Daniel made a silent promise. He would continue playing the role she believed he held, not to deceive her for amusement, but because he wanted to discover whether such kindness could truly remain unchanged when wealth, status, and appearances disappeared. Deep inside, he hoped the answer would heal a part of his own heart that success had quietly broken. Little did either of them know that the days ahead would test their faith, expose painful betrayals, and lead them toward a truth neither could have imagined. The greatest surprise was not that Emma had mistaken a millionaire for his driver, it was that the millionaire had finally found someone who saw the person before the fortune. And sometimes, the greatest miracles begin with the simplest misunderstandings.